we'll have to let our voices carry through and
we'll have to
communicate
dictate
all the
everything really
context.
well. Yeah. I just want to say shout out to Matthew's kidnappers. Very generous to give him internet while they're kidnapping him in the trunk of a car. It's just really nice of them.
I mean, I know when I've been kidnapped, it's always been dial-up. I don't get that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you don't want that.
For the maximal torture, right? All right, so they are drawing tiles. Let us see what we have on Evan Berofsky's rack.
An S is a good start. Ooh, S-H-E. All right, looks like not quite a bingo. Probably some sort of play like hey or yeah, or maybe hosey. All sorts of options that are kind of middling here.
Fern has tipped us off that it's a belated birthday for Matthew Tunnicliffe. We send our best belated birthday wishes as well. Did you celebrate with any sort of muffin or cake or other sort of delicious pastry on your birthday? Please tell us. What did you consume that was pastry-ish? Invalid. Hold. Challenge.
We were talking about Conrad earlier. I just want to shout out that Dave Wiegand has Banting arranged on his rack, which
Yes.
is a moving tribute to Conrad.
Yes, Bant.
Conrad has been banned from board one for this round, but he'll be back next time. So anyway, Oye is the choice from Evan Borowski, and that gives him a 12-0 lead to start this one off.
Yes. Cal prefers Hoy in the chat. I was thinking Hosey, closely related to Mosey.
I think you're supposed to play. I think you're supposed to play Hosey, but it can be kind of psychologically difficult to give up the S for a 30-point play.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I would lean toward Hosey as well. I don't think that the leave with Oye is quite good enough to justify giving up 18 points like he did, but it's probably pretty close.
Yeah. Well, he has drawn a bingo through the E.
Oh, hexarrays, is that?
Yes.
Hexarrays.
Very nice.
That would be some serious witchcraft if you managed to get that down.
Well done. The puns start right. You just open up your coffee and you're already punning. It's impressive work.
Les réalités aujourd'hui. Yes, all of the punning.
Looks likely to be blocked though, because I think Dave is going to play tangible.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hello, Gertchie. It is nice to see you back in the chat.
Tangible is the only 86-point bingo, so it is head and shoulders above the other options here. And Dave, of course, finds his best bingo because he always does that.
Mm-hmm. This is a very bingy thing to do.
I think I noticed Evan is doing the thing where he plays with the board upside down.
Right.
I remember when I played with Evan a couple of years ago, it stuck out to me that he did that. So I guess that makes the producer's job slightly easier this round. They don't have to keep rotating the board. Evan just,
Right.
Gonna keep it in one direction.
Yes. Evan is one of those upside down players.
I think there's a few players in this field that keep the board upside down at all times. I think Jeff Teveno also does that.
He does.
Yeah.
The aforementioned James Leong, the Players Champion, he is also an upside down player. There's a few pretty high profile players that do that. Hello, Listeem. Nice to see you back. Welcome. Akrater, I believe, is the name that you've got in parentheses there. Hello to you as well. I remember you were here yesterday as well.
So not a lot of great options after Hexarray got blocked for Evan. There's no giant X-bomb plays or anything like that. Something like Ibex through the B is an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lewis in the chat. Welcome back, Lewis. He suggests Ibex as well.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see Ibex and then Waqf.
Yeah, I think
quite quickly.
I think Waqf is pretty standard.
I'm sure Dave is happy to have a spot for Waqf. Good call. Important to note that Tangible does take an S. So a play like Hexes making Tangibles is actually 42 points. He might want to consider something like that. Be interesting to see whether either player is confident of Tangibles. Yeah, we're talking about walk WAQF. Not walk WOQ. That would be a phony. Good to clarify that for the chat. So Evan is taking his time here, and I can't blame him. It's not an easy turn to figure out. There's no like one big standout move here.
Ibex.
Yeah,
There
he
we
is
go.
going to pick Ibex, and that's pretty solid.
Dustin, that's quite all right. There are quite a few Collins words that are doozies the first time you see them. Walk is definitely one of those ones.
And just checking on Quackle, and Walk is indeed the best play by far. Nothing to think about. If you see Walk, it's clearly best.
Let's
Yeah.
see.
So to answer the questions in the chat, we had some mix-ups with the player list last night, some health and safety protocols, if you will, and we had to rearrange all the pairings. So we're going to have Dave playing Evan Borofsky for the first round of the day, and then Conrad is playing the next round. So we're going to have Conrad versus David Eldar the round after this one. Yeah.
Perfect.
Unfortunately, a whole lot of shuffling around with the player list this week for reasons you guys can probably imagine. So Dave is thinking a little bit here, but it looks like he's going to play QI instead. That's interesting. I wonder if there's any kind
That's
of,
quite surprising. It seems like he missed walk.
yeah.
It is the kind of word that you can kind of forget about because it's so strange. I've definitely missed walk before in some spots.
For sure, yeah. I was briefly checking if there was any kind of bingo he could be fishing for. Like I saw wifedoms, but no, there's not quite a way to do that. No, maybe he just missed it. All right, so 108 to 41. And it's back to Evan, who has, I feel like maybe a bingo, but I'm not seeing it right away. Koshered, is that a word?
Yeah.
Trenches has been suggested as
And searched.
sitting on-
I know the word
Yeah,
searched. I'm
and
smart.
search.
It's the 7 is cheddars, right? But doesn't really go down on the board.
Yeah.
That's one where I probably can't pronounce it correctly if I want to go for the proper Hebrew pronunciation, but maybe Fern could help us with that. I believe it like cheder, I believe, or something like this, but I could be completely wrong. I know there are people in the chat who are capable and can correct me.
So Evan is taking his time here. There's quite a few floating letters you got to look at. You got to look at cheddars plus the T, plus the A, plus the N, check all your options and count all your scores. And Kosher to 76, search to 72. So you got to do the math and add up what's the best one, but I'm guessing he'll eventually arrive at the correct choice of Kosher.
Here we go. Kosher is coming down.
Yeah, nice play. So interesting rack for Dave. It looks like he played the Q and drew the P.
I can't really see. I mean, nothing is jumping off the rack when I look at Dave's rack. He wants to play something that will get rid of those clunky 3 and 4 point tiles. But
Yeah, I'm looking at that line to the left of Kosher. I mean, there's plays like WAP and WAF. Yeah, I see WAF being suggested in chat. That looks like the right option. WAF keeping IMPS seems pretty solid.
yeah, I mean, I would think that WAF is not ideal in the sense that you would rather get rid of some more of those tiles, but you can't do that while scoring reasonably. So
I think
Let's go for
WAF gets
WAF,
rid
yeah.
of the clunkiest of all of the bigger tiles. I think, yeah, it would be ideal to get rid of a few more of the big ones, but I think this is the most awkward of them, and you score well, so I like it.
yeah, it's true that the M and the P have some synergy, so that it's not that bad.
Yeah, I think IMPS is a pretty solid leave, actually. If you can draw one or two more good tiles with it, you're in business. Mispack, to pack incorrectly. I don't think that's a word.
I don't ever do that. Oh, Evan is playing pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah, Eve.
Pretty fast and pretty correctly. Looks like Eve is clearly best, so nice work. Got ourselves a close game, 143 to 140.
Hubert Wee has typed mapstick.
Yeah, there are 3 8s with mispack plus a blank if anybody wants to find them.
Yeah, mapstick is beautiful. Nice spot.
Yeah, mapstick is the one
Mapstick.
that is actually going to play. The long handle of a mop, also mopstick.
That's
All right,
amazing.
then.
I love that. It's a beauty. We like seeing those doozies on board one. I'm really hoping. I mean, it's Dave. It's probably coming down.
It's probably coming down.
The long handle of a map. I don't know what kind of map you use, but my maps don't have handles. Simp sack. Nice. I love it. All these creative compound words.
So the other 8s in mispack plus blank are ram picks and pick maws. So an R or a W would be the other letters you'd be looking for here. But of those, only mapstick is going to play on this board.
So rampix, rampike, ranpike, and rampole are all the same word. Interesting.
How many words do you need for a dead tree? I don't know, but I guess the answer is 5. Whatever.
Firewood. That's how I call it.
Oh, there's 6. Okay. So Dave taking his time. I wonder if he already sees mapstick, but he's just looking for a better bingo. Maybe he's talking himself out of mispack being valid. Mispack is not an insane phony. Like, it seems reasonable.
It seems like he's arranging mispack almost.
Or he's arranging imp sack. Or he's telling us that he is SPAC. He's putting I'm SPAC. All sorts of interesting Dave phonies.
Well,
Sad.
if you're not going to play mispack, that is probably the top, like the second best play, I would imagine.
Yep, it sure is. Yeah, so
Yeah.
pack keeping CIMS is pretty good.
Tier. Acritor asks, who is the best phonier in this tournament?
I think you're looking at him. I think it's Dave.
I mean, like, if anyone's going to get away with phonies in this field, it would most likely be Dave, just because of how much he knows of the valid words.
It definitely depends on what you mean by best. Like, I think Dave is very good at picking his spots where playing a phony might actually be successful and phonying successfully. If you're asking for, like, most entertaining phonier, I mean, were you watching yesterday? Because we saw Jesse Day play Toadier. So, like, what do you mean by best? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jesse Day is literally nicknamed Phoners. So, like, you got to give some shout out to that.
So Dave has actually drawn another bingo,
Ooh.
despite the rather unpleasant looking 3-eye combination.
I'm trying to find it without cheating, but I'm struggling. Help me, Jesse. What is
Sorry,
it?
what am I looking at?
Dave's drawn a bingo, Jeremy says.
Oh, yeah, they mentioned it in the chat as well. It's really nice.
Oh, mini disc. Oh, sick.
Yeah, that's a very, very nice play.
So no bingo for Evan right now.
Yeah.
He's got options such as over fat through the V and Eve. That's his highest scoring play. If he wants to keep a stronger lead, though, he could do something like Fovea.
It also happens to block mini disc.
Oh,
So it's the
sad.
best- So it's the best play.
Let's see. Yeah, and Libe Jofa, just to clarify, there's a different word, and I won't mention it on the air, that's slightly related, that would meet the earlier definition you mentioned, but since you've just looked it up with the bot, this one is not the same. But I can see where that potential line of thought might have come from. This one is considered non-slurry and is still in the dictionary.
Pack just means pack, like packing a bag. Oh, I guess it's a noun. Yeah, you can't do packing, P-A-K-K-I-N-G.
P-A-K-K-I-N-G.
There'd be stranger words with multiple Ks for sure. Emitic, yeah, that definitely looks pretty good. Silver fat.
Yeah, emitic, very nice. A couple of spots for it. You can put the D on Eve to make Eved, or you can put emitic to the left of overfat, overlapping 3 times. Scoring either 35 or 33, so both pretty good options.
Those look pretty similar to me. Probably want to play the one that scores the 2 more points in that case. I guess next to overfat sets up a hotspot for the set. Maybe something he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, I mean, the emitic on the right making Eved is actually pretty decent defensively because, like, the C is pretty hard to overlap. And yeah, indeed, that's the one he's going to play. I think I like it. 2 points more, and it's really not that bad defensively.
Yeah. Well, it does set up the H. So drawing the last H will be, might be something that makes a big difference to the game.
Could be. So by blocking that N, Evan has also blocked his own bingos. No unseared, unerased, under C, etc. And he's going to be settling for a smaller score here. Looks like a lot of his best options are to the right of Koshard, because Core takes hooks like Koru or Kora. So you can play words like do or O in that spot, like O-E-A-U.
I am on team do. I like that.
Do looks good.
Yeah, do making Koru is 28 points and keeping A-E-R-S. Very solid. Looks like Dave has drawn the J. That's interesting. Not seeing any like fantastic J hotspots or anything, but still an interesting scoring tile.
Well, there's just a JUG next to overfat.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the standard one I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking that actually if you play UT, you set up the J. So now I'm thinking it's a reasonable way to do that. Probably not, because the rest of your rack is so, it's filled with 1-pointers, and
Yeah.
you'd rather preserve it. You'd rather preserve it for a bingo. Just play the J this turn.
Yeah, you're not going to
Something
make
worth
some
thinking about.
17-point play or something, keeping the J. It's, yeah. Play Puja backwards, says Dustin Dude in chat. I like that. Adjup.
Would not be the strangest looking word on a board ever, as far as valid words are concerned, even. I mean, because we have like all the stuff like falage and affalage. Like, there's no shortage of strange J words.
You can spell Henry backwards.
Yerna.
Yerna. Yeah, you can spell whatever you want backwards.
But you can't have an ab Yerna. That's not allowed. Only an ab Henry.
So Evan here is taking his time, and you can't blame him. These are not easy turns to figure out, these kind of middling, no bingo, no scoring play. How do you score 26 the best way kind of plays?
There we go. Yeah. Daraf.
Yeah,
That's another
Daraf.
one.
There's another one.
I am assuming there also isn't an ab Daraf. It's probably just, yeah.
Just Abtharad, yeah.
That seems to be it. The backwards ones don't get to be abbed. When things don't get to be abbed, that makes me sad. I like abs.
All right, so used is a 32-point play from Evan.
Oh,
does
wow, I
his-
wasn't expecting that, using the S there.
Yeah. I guess it figures there's 2 more of them you can draw. We'll see.
I think he must have overlooked the KOR spot.
Yeah, it's easy to not realize how many points it scores. Like, Do doesn't look like 26 points. It looks kind of piddling. He draws the blank, though. Interesting.
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, Cal, I was actually, as soon as you type Mo, that is the exception. That one does work, app Mo. There you go. There's always an exception to the rules. That's one backwards word that kept its abs. It's hard to keep your abs, especially during COVID. That was a struggle, man.
So we were talking before about Jug, and I do think Jug or Juga is pretty solid here. Just to the left of upper fat, scoring 33 or 35. Dave kind of shuffling his tiles, but I think he's going to arrive at the correct choice of either Jug or Juga.
Meanwhile, on Evan's rack, Lewis has pointed out Lavaterra in
Oh, very
two
nice.
places.
Very nice.
And Addigator asks us your predictions on who wins. Well, right now they're level, but it looks like Evan is going to be pulling ahead fairly shortly, given he should have, as Lewis said, two places to play Lavaterra. But as far as like who's going to win, I don't know. Like even with that, it's still going to be pretty level. Someone in the chat types Novak. Oh yeah, because the Wimbledon finalist today, Novak is playing Nick Kyrgios.
Right.
And in that case, as much as I'm a fan of chaos on occasion, I think Novak's going to pull that one out. I would not be surprised.
He's probably favored a little bit. Yeah.
I think Nick will probably get one set off of him. I would say 4. In my household, my mom was a tennis instructor for a very long time. So it was pretty much required that we watched all of the Grand Slams every year. So whether I liked it or not, I got very immersed into that aspect of tennis culture at the very least. So yeah, I'm going to say probably Novak in 4.
So it looks like Dave is looking at Gauji, how we pronounce that, which I did see as well, and it does set up the S, but not in a great way, because of the shape of the board, you can't actually play a bingo ending in S for King Gaujis.
Yeah,
I mean, well, you have to be an 8 starting with D, which is significantly more restrictive.
Right, or a 7-letter word that has the S like 5th or 6th instead of last. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little more difficult.
For sure.
I think there's no reason to play Gauji and kind of give up the nice tiles.
Yeah, I might just play something like Juga. I think ENS rather than NS, just keep a slightly better leave. But I think all these plays are pretty similar, honestly. Oh, great question in chat. Who would win at tennis, Dave or Evan?
Ooh, if either of them played tennis? I was trying to think.
Evan is pretty tall. He's got that reach. I don't know.
He does. I'd actually go Evan on this one. Wiggy has surprised us with some of his amazing abilities outside of Scrabble in life. So he could naturally end up being a decent tennis player, but I'm still going to go Evan.
I feel like whenever I've tried to play against Dave in like literally any game, I just get destroyed.
We lose.
Like if there's a pool table, he'll just beat you. If there's a ping pong table, like it doesn't matter what the game is. He'll just find a way to crush
Dave
you.
holding the paddle like the standard way upside down, like you see all the best players in the world do, where like no matter what, they just like are able to instantly flip it and put the perfect spin on it. I bet Dave has studied all the spins in ping pong or table tennis, I guess they call it on. Or I guess that depends. They kind of have their own bit of drama with what they call the game, depending on where they're playing. But anyway, I bet he would be a surprise, amazing player.
Wouldn't shock me at all.
So
Gaji comes down, and it's back to Evan now, who's got 2 bingos, Lavaterra or Alterage through the T.
So Lewis is wondering if it's worth playing a jar instead of the bonus. It's interesting. Akratir says, I think most good players call it table tennis, but it's not nearly as satisfying to say. Yeah, I think from what I've seen when I've seen it on TV, the handful of times I have, it's usually been labeled table tennis, to be fair. And I think at the Olympics, when they were considering it way back in the day, yeah, I think I saw table tennis for that too. So running through the sim, I think the sim actually agrees with you, Lewis, that a jar fares better than playing Lavaterra. But it looks like Evan is going to opt to play Lavaterra.
I'm somewhat surprised to hear that because Ajar is what 24, and even though Lavaterra is 58, that's a significant difference.
Yeah, I'm curious what a human would do versus a sim. I mean, like, of course, putting an R in the AAA when you have AEL blank is beautiful, but a human might block that spot more often than a computer would. So I'm not entirely sure about the Quackle sim here. Don't blame Evan at all for just playing the bingo. I think that might be correct against a human. It might not be. It's close.
King of Lettuce asks, is the sim being simmed properly? Well, Evans is doing it right next to me. I'm pretty trusting in his ability, so I think it is. Saws next, says Cal, as a question mark. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I was looking at Fez plays possibly as far as next options. So Saws is definitely right up there.
Saws making Koro at 62 points. Hard to fight with that. Oh, there's more punning in chat.
So here, Dave is facing a choice between playing the Z or playing the H.
Yeah.
I mean, just haven't thought about it much, but I think I'm inclined to play the Z first because the H spot is likely to stay there. You have the last H, the hook CH. Yeah, it looks like that's what he's doing. So
the best equity play here is actually Shown, SHOWN, parallel to Gaugy with all the overlaps. That's 50 points. But Saws with a little bit of a weird leave, but 62 is 62.
It's hard to turn down 62 points.
Yeah. All right, so Saws does come down, but he hasn't hit his clock yet. Oh, no, he has. Okay, yep.
Lewis notes that WH fits nicely next to Gouge. And yeah, I mean, like, he still got it for the next turn. So the nice thing with Saws is it scores a lot, and you still have WH place on the next turn next to Gouge. So yeah, I can see that.
Oh, yeah, great point in chat that WH still fits next to Gaugy. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Verbalo says I was liking the Shown. Yeah, I mean, like, I like the play as well, personally.
yeah, it's those two plays are very close.
Yeah, I think so.
I think there might be a slight edge for Shown because the leave is better, and then your FEZ spot is unlikely to go away.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'd say so too.
Marlon Hill in the chat is mentioning 62 can be turned down for 50, and that's in reference to Shown versus Saws. Marlon, do you mind expanding a bit on your line of thought there? I'm happy to hear about it because obviously we might not agree on this one, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Please go ahead and elaborate. I'd love to hear. Lewis says, useful to have the H for CH2. Much easier for Dave to score now.
As for Evan, this turn, he's got some options. That J is an interesting spot for him to use. He could play something like Ouija or Bijou. Both players still have plenty of time, over 10 minutes. Got 31 tiles to go, so about 1/3 of the game left.
I am shocked that Ouija is simming as high as it is. I don't think I would ever play.
Oh, I didn't sim it yet. This is just a static evaluation.
Oh, okay, that's much better. I was gonna say that should be nowhere near the top.
And yet, possibly it is.
What do you not like about Ouija?
Neither of them have the S, but I mean, like, I think it leaves a lot to chance.
Well, setting up the S is good for him, right? He's 50 down. He might not have the S, but yeah, I mean, I think he benefits from the additional volatility, especially when there aren't any good lanes besides the end of tangible at the moment. He's actually taking out the lane for 7s next to Overfat by playing through the J.
Noah Slackoff points out whale after the Ouija play is available for Dave. Yeah, that's a lot of points. Marlon Hill is
That is a lot of points.
Marlon Hill is saying the Fez spot was going nowhere, and that was his reasoning for shown. And yeah, that's valid too, because I think if you were going to have one of the two spots gone, it would more likely be the one next to gauge, however you want to say it. Perfectly reasonable. I can definitely understand that.
The only bad thing about whale here is you're giving Evan a lot of hooks, you know, whaled, whaler, whales, and he needs a big spot to hook his bingo to come back. That's exactly what you don't want to give him.
Is it actually better to play whaler?
That's what I was getting at. Yep. At least with whaler, you force specificity. Like it's got to be an 8 through an R, you know?
Yeah. Well, this is another one of those words that happens to have a whole bunch of variations. So I guess gaji technically would be how you'd say it if it lines up with all the rest. Anyway.
Oh, I see.
But then Giorgio kills that whole...
Sidebinder points out where is also an option, W-H-A-R-E.
Yeah, it looks like Dave is debating between exactly those two choices.
Yeah.
Based on what he's lining up.
Where takes an S, but only an S. So fewer hooks to worry about.
And logically speaking, if Ouija's been played... Yeah, from Dave's point of view, it's interesting. Like when someone plays Ouija, like he's going to see that it's all vowels, so he's not necessarily grooming his rack blatantly, but you could infer a potential S. I don't know. It's interesting trying to figure out what Dave might infer after that play.
Well, this is a situation where you're probably doing some range finding, right? You can't be certain that your opponent has an S because they could just be dumping vowels, but the chance that they have an S definitely goes up after Ouija.
For sure. All right, Whaler's coming down, and I like Whaler, I think. You're forcing Evan to have a specific thing, and if he doesn't have it this turn, you can block next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, Whaler is one of those counterintuitive plays where it's actually less dangerous to put something in the triple lane.
Yeah, yeah.
And Dave has drawn the S as it turns out, so he'll be relieved to see that.
Turns out that Evan did not need the R, he needed the E for buttoned, and he didn't get it. So no bingo here. I think if you're Evan, you might just go ahead and take out that R because you know that Dave is going to do it next turn anyway. It's not going to stay open. Like you might want to just take a play like Bort or Bird now.
Well, the problem with that is that that will leave him, say, 60 points behind, and on a fairly tight board, Dave can easily obstruct the remaining bingo lanes on his next turn. I guess there might be one marginal lane through Ouija, the O of Ouija left.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
Like hooking the P, those are not very likely. Because Dave can play something that obstructs the L of Lavaterra and the N of Tangible.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any kind of like creative way for Evan to open the board up some more. I'm not seeing much. This is tough. I see Define WAF in the chat.
Yeah. I believe technically it started out as an acronym, as in waste of flesh.
Correct. Yeah. So it's not a slur. It's just kind of an insult. It's like calling somebody a moron.
Mm-hmm. All these like acronyms in the South Pacific. You know? We had Ron's come up yesterday as a potential play. I forgot that was the definition for singleton. Nice. Someone looked that up in the chat with Dave's right.
Ah, singleton. Yeah. That's a hard word to anagram. Singleton. It looks like an ing or it's just hard to find.
That's the thing, right? Like some of the words that are technically more common, I find to be the very hardest to anagram because I'm sure for a card game player of certain games that would be a very common word, but yeah, tough to anagram.
Like bridge, which Dave is.
Yeah.
So bunt comes down from Evan. That's very interesting. Maybe he's hoping for like a non-bingo triple-triple. Like out something. I don't know. So it's 376 to 304. Let me just update that scoreboard now. So a 72-point lead for Dave Wiegand here. I'll get the title pool up there in a second as well. There are... Wait, that is not the correct title pool. Hold on.
Hold.
All right, so there are a total of 18 tiles unseen to Dave, 11 in the bag and 7 on Evan Berofsky's rack. Of the 18, it looks like we've got, 7 vowels and 11 consonants, so a little bit heavy. And some pretty clunky consonants like the P and the M and the V and the Y. So not great for bingos, which means it's not great for Evan Berofsky, who's down by a bingo. He's going to have trouble here.
Yeah, and the other factor is that of these lines that are open, the N intangible, of course, is a consonant. So, you would be hoping in this case you have a vowel that's open, but there isn't really a realistic one, given the V in Lavaterra cuts off any underlaps through the A there. So, yeah, definitely not bingo friendly at the moment.
Yeah, so the play of anting from the first A of Lavaterra will block both the L and the N, which are definitely the best lanes. I think Dave looked at that briefly, but he seems like he's going for glint instead. Maybe there are 9-timers, non-bonus 9-timers through the T and R that Dave saw.
Yeah, I was just checking. There are 248 words with that pattern of a T and an R that are 8s. All sorts of options. Boat port, clotburs, footwork. I'm going to stop reading them. There's a lot. Anyway, glint, good play.
Yeah, I think I would have gone for anting myself, but
Yeah, that's fair.
Now, Evan's got quite a bind here.
Yeah, this is tough.
Marlon is suggesting U in the chat. I'm assuming that will be alongside the P and pack, unless I'm missing a different spot.
All right, so we should have the score and the title pool updated. It is Evan down by 90, and the pool looking a little bit better than before, but still not great. 5 minutes to go, a little bit more than that, actually. If you're Dave here, you got to be feeling pretty comfortable. Not 100% in the clear, but certainly 95%.
yeah, I mean, with this lead, if Evan makes a low-scoring play to try and manage the board or balance his rack, Dave could probably survive a bingo.
Yeah, that's true. You could play Oi and Clinchy for 26. That keeps you a little bit within striking distance.
Yeah, I think the play Noah Slackoff was mentioning was playing U, as Marlon Hill mentioned, but on the top right, creating Ume and Ois, which is like, yeah, it definitely scores. I think the option still is, even with that, you need a bingo, like essentially to get back in the game. There's really only one realistic lane, which Dave can destroy next turn. So you kind of want to create yourself an opportunity, but if you don't score, it doesn't matter. So it's a tough spot, because yeah, on the top right, you could go purely for points, but what are you going to do after Dave takes out the last lane next turn?
Yeah, so just not a great spot here for Evan. I think something like either the Clinchy play or the U play, like they're both pretty reasonable, and there's not much better. And you just got to hope for some kind of miracle. I mean, I'm looking for some kind of creative board opening play.
Well, that's why I was asking for Marlon's clarification on U, because my assumption is Marlon's U is different from Noah's. But I was
see. Yeah.
just waiting to hear other suggestions potentially, because those are all of their own merit. There we go.
Oh, and he is playing
So
the
he's
far
playing
left
the
U.
U that opens up the board. So this creates some form of volatility that he can potentially use. Yeah, the king of lettuce, that was my assumption as well.
So how many tiles are left in the bag now?
I believe it's going to be 4. Let me just get that updated. Yeah, it's 4 in the bag, and a score of 394 to 315.
Marlon says, good assumption. Hey, Marlon, it's been a while since I've seen you, but I know a little bit about how your brain works. So I was assuming you meant the bottom left.
Yeah, so right now Dave just needs to play 3 tiles and score 30 points, and he will win even if there's a bingo, which there isn't going to be based on Evan's draw.
Yep, not looking too good for Evan here. He has given himself a nice scoring play of pivot, making pup. But that's not going to win. It's just going to cut some spread.
He'll need a few more of those pivots. Otherwise, there's no chance.
So Dave's checking the bag there. He will confirm that there are 4 tiles left. And I'm sure he realizes that as long as he just plays 3 tiles and scores well, he's going to be fine. If he wants, he can play Nom underneath Lavaterra, and that, kills bingos, scores 11, and keeps ENST. It's simple and kind of lame, but it gets the job done. I was just looking at the list of moves in Quackle, and a lot of the statically best plays are not good plays because they overlap you and give Evan easy triples and stuff. You can't play, Mon making MO next to you. That's terrible. But yeah, I think something like Nom under Lavaterra gets the job done. Under 5 minutes to go for Dave.
Yeah, it's difficult to score well without having a poor leaf.
Yeah, Jesse was pointing like, oh yeah, sorry, go on. Yep.
I think even if Dave, played MOYS, that would still be like 100% winning. Just maybe not spread optimal. I'm not sure about what would be spread optimal.
So I had a suggestion I wanted to plug into Quackle. I was actually thinking Mott, creating my, and then playing down just one further spot up. That was my suggestion. And
Dave's really smart. He has the case E, so he can play Mo setting up emo.
There you go. Yeah. I didn't type in the inference. Yeah, so then Dave's play is better in that case.
He's also just up by 100 points, so it doesn't matter. He's just going to
win. Spread finding right here. Very nice.
Yeah, but this is a very nice play. I mean, like the best players, even when like they are guaranteed to win, they still make and find these kinds of plays. Like this is the kind of thing that Nigel does all the time. Mm-hmm. Even after he's beaten you, he's like, oh well, I have the last whatever. I'm gonna set it up and score 70 more points, and you can't do anything about it. So.
Oh, you thought you were just going to lose. Let me destroy you even more. We're getting a little bit of cheeky talk in the chat here. I'm loving it.
So whether Marlon knows his threes.
Does Marlon know an F?
Marlon knows his 12s, people. Yeah. Of course he knows his threes. How dare you?
King of lettuce. How dare you? Indeed. The one and only legendary Marlon Hill. He knows more than a few words. I I remember a long time ago at an Albany tournament when Marlon was sitting next to me and discussing the merits of playing a 9 that left a vulnerable S hook on the end versus a standard 7. And I heard him talking out loud with his opponent about it. He was playing me, actually, and he was looking at the table next to him. And he was saying to the guy next to him, he was just like, I know you play this, but I wouldn't. And he picked up and played a 7 somewhere else instead. Marlon's amazing. Just watching him play and the way his brain works, it's beautiful. Miss you, Marlon. Hope you're doing well.
One of my early games against Marlon, he puts out a bingo against me of Tiger Eye, and he stares at it for a long time, like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, and he's like hemming and hawing about it, and he picks it up and he puts it back down, and he finally plays it. And after the game, I was like, were you not sure about Tiger Eye? And he just goes, oh, please, Tiger Eye's guys are right. Being like, not only do I know this word, but I know the crazy anagram for its for its plural. So yeah, he's got crazy word knowledge for sure.
Oh yeah, and what was it? Gasparo was the really famous one.
Yeah. Gasparo. I think he extended EAU at the opening to Gasparo. With the X, I believe.
No, I think...
Was it no X? I don't know.
I think it was EAUX is already down, and I think Parget's might have been playable, but Gasparo was the play Marlon opted for instead. Yeah, that was one of the more famous ones I remember. So Evan has played a port.
All right, so no spot for interns or anything like that. No crazy 9s, I checked. He almost has like serotonin or something, but yeah, just not quite. Both players quite economical with their time. Evan using all but his final 10 seconds. And Dave using more than usual as well.
Dave actually would have serotonin if one of those ends were an O instead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It's close. Yeah, so not a lot of great options here for Dave. I think his best play is Renins, R-E-N-I-N-S, on the left side of the board. You got to see the hook for oop to make noop, N-O-U-P. Okay, he plays soup instead. Yeah, that's a few points worse, but pretty close. All right, Sinner comes down, and Evan just barely gets his play down in time.
Vexil keeping a T on his side, and Dave will just play out after that. Good morning, Rebecca. Nice to have you in.
He does find taut. There you go. Best. All right, so your final score is going to be Dave Wiegand 450, Evan Berofsky 344. So 106, excuse me, point win for Dave Wiegand.
Nice game.
Dave was in first place going into today, and he's going to stay there, I would imagine. 7-1 now. I think Thomas Reinke was chasing Dave for first place on spread. We'll check on his result when we can. But yeah, Dr. Bing is binging away.
Indeed, he is doing that.